If we would compare this bike to 675 NK, ooh guys, that's pretty interesting. Hello everybody, what is going on? Welcome to the channel. Today, as you can see, we're talking about this beautiful KTM 790 Duke. Just today I was riding our C390 and I decided to swap bikes. We're gonna measure acceleration, we'll try to ride in the city, we'll see how good this bike is, we'll see whether we can do wheelies. Yeah, we can. We'll see how fast we are from 0 to 100/150 kilometers per hour. We'll try to use Dragy as well. So if you want to see that and even more, this video is for you. We are already riding, so let's just go guys, let's keep on going. This bike feels a little bit heavier than our C390 or KTM 390, which is not a surprise obviously, but I would say that for a city this additional weight would not be very pleasant. If you go fast, the bike feels more stable, which is a big advantage. But most of the time, I do not actually go over 60-70 kilometers per hour. 390 Duke is going to be a little bit more flickable, a little bit more fun to ride in city conditions. Speaking about technology, we have traction control, we have 4 power modes, range, street, sport, and track. If you put this bike into a track mode, in terms of throttle response, you're gonna shit your pants, dudes. If you are a beginner, please never try this freaking track mode. Just forget about it, because you're gonna whiskey throw this motorcycle into an obstacle. As we run over some bumps, I'll tell you that the suspension on this KTM is fairly stiff, but still not too stiff. It's on the sportier side of the spectrum, that's for sure. It gives you a lot of feedback. It's unadjustable, unfortunately. Yeah, we can do some stoppies. Ooh. All right. Pretty sweet. Ooh. Yeah, bro. This was my first gear wheelie on KTM 790 Duke. The seat is actually very cool looking, but I'm sitting, I'll show you. I'm sitting right here when I do my wheelies, and this spot rubs my butt. I have blisters on my butt. Dude, I don't know, I would show you my butt, but I feel like YouTube would not monetize the video then. The seat is kind of comfortable if you just casually ride, but once you start doing things like that, it's not very pleasant. Alright guys, this is day 2 of me riding KTM 790 Duke. As you can see, the pavement is quite wet. I don't really know whether it's safe or not. I'll just recap the specifications. We have 800cc engine, which puts out 105 horsepower and 87 Nm of torque. We have this beautiful WP suspension, which is pretty stiff actually, and it's not adjustable. The brakes are powerful but not as predictable as I expected them to be. The carb weight of this bike is 187 kilograms, so in this regard it will be very similar to NK800. I'll remind you that official carb weight of NK800 is going to be 186 kilograms for a bike with a small dash. We checked the weight and it was 188 kilograms. The capacity of this tank is only 14 liters, and on CF Moto we had 15 liters. The seat height is 825 millimeters, which is very suitable for me. I'm 1 meter 85 centimeters, so on this bike I feel at home, and the seat itself looks very cool. However, when I train my wheelies, I stay at this place, and dude, I have a pretty nasty wound on my butt. I'm not gonna show you, but just trust me. Speaking about electronics, we have 4 power modes: rain, street, sport and track. We have traction control, which is full adjustable. There are 9 levels of adjustability. We have 2 ABS modes: road ABS and supermoto ABS. So this bike packs a lot. This particular 790 Duke comes equipped with those super fat grips, which I personally like. This bike has over 24,000 kilometers, so the tires were swapped many times. These are some Chinese tires, which I don't like. Alright, so we are in a sports mode. ABS is adjusted to road. Oh my god. Oh, I feel like we have anti-wheelie mode by default while in a sports mode. But yeah, this bike does power wheelies simultaneously. I would say that these power wheelies, they still allow you to go pretty fast. On NK800, which had anti-wheelies, it wasn't the same. Holy moly. Ooh, yeah. Guys, this bike is fast as hell. It feels faster than an K800. It feels much faster than 675 NK. It feels even faster than my Monster 950. I sold it already, but I don't know guys, this bike feels so unrestricted. The acceleration is actually quite linear, but there is so much power, it's difficult to control. Some of you would just start laughing because you would say, ha ha ha, it's only 105 horsepower. But guys, I'm telling you, in this form factor of a naked bike, this power with my set of skills feels abso-freaking-lutely overwhelming. Okay, one more time, guys. Oh my god. Yeah, we're fighting those wheelies. I feel like my acceleration is at about 4 seconds. Actually, let's stop and check.
Alright.
Whoa! 0 to 100 is 3.66 seconds. That's actually really good. Okay, this one is 3.77. Not bad. 3.66, 3.66. It's already faster than NK800. Actually, not by much. On NK800 was like 3.68, but the conditions were better and we tried more times. Alright, so 0 to 150 was like 7.6. Bro, I don't know how to stop this bike from wheeling. I feel like I need to change the mode. But you would be telling me that, oh dude, it wasn't fair, you have to be in sports mode. Actually, we have also track mode, which is even crazier, but it's not for me, guys. I'm just a beginner. Give me a break. Alright dudes, the last time. Ready? Oh my god. Okay guys, based on Dragy, this bike is slower than my Ducati, right? 950 Monster. But dudes, I'm telling you, it feels so freaking fast. There's something about this ergonomics. There's something about this bike. It's super hooligan. I do not like myself riding this bike, dudes. I'm a hooligan. I become a bad person. I want to freaking violate every single rule. I want to go nuts. I want to do wheelies. I have this unstoppable urge of doing wheelies on public roads, which, rationally speaking, is an absolutely horrible idea, especially with my set of skills. This bike, nonetheless, pushes me so freaking hard. And this is not my first KTM 790 Duke. A year ago, I was riding another 790 Duke, and dude, I got into trouble. Police stopped me. I thought that I would be detained. So that bike and this bike, they were pushing me so freaking hard. This bike just does not allow you to relax. And this bike is extremely capable. The power delivery is very smooth. It's really easy to do second gear wheelies. If you would equip this bike with nice tires, it would be such a pleasure. But dude, the power of this beast, as I've said many times, is overwhelming. The throttle is actually pretty manageable, but again, just when you try to go fast from 0 to 100, the bike is inevitably doing those freaking wheelies, power wheelies. And it's pretty difficult to manage with my set of skills. Actually, the brakes, even though they're powerful, they are not as predictable as on KTM 390 Duke or RC 390. I could do some stoppies on those bikes. Meanwhile, on this bike, even though I can still do some crappy stoppies, but it just doesn't feel as good. They're not as predictable. And if you would be purchasing a bike to learn stoppies, I would not recommend it. RC 390 would be so much better. And speaking about other things I don't like, this bike is kind of light for its class, and many people say that this is a scalpel. This is actually an official name of this bike, and it's super maneuverable, and indeed, for this class, it's extremely maneuverable. But if I would compare this bike to 390 Duke, it will not be as maneuverable, it will not be as playful, and for street, it will be way too freaking much. I talk to many people, dude, and everybody's saying, oh, why do you like 390 so much? Why do you like this 390 platform so much? We all like 790, it's so powerful, it's so fast. Yeah, dude, but there's no freaking space, there's no room for this power. So in a way, this bike requires you to be a better rider. And most people who purchase those bikes, they're not good. If we're talking about this bike in terms of track performance, this might be one of the best, if not the best bikes for this job. It's super agile, it's very maneuverable, it's super easygoing. Simultaneously, for city conditions, it wouldn't be as maneuverable and as agile as some smaller bikes. The power delivery is super smooth and very pleasant. But if we're going super slow, I would say that 675 NK would be smoother, would be more pleasant to ride. If we're talking about a little tiny lot, I would pick 675 NK because at super slow speed, that bike felt better than this. This bike doesn't vibrate, we don't have any rattling, we don't have any vibration. Simultaneously, at super slow speed, it would not be as smooth. With that being said, it's smoother than NK 800. Even though this is just the same engine, but it's differently tuned, it feels different. I like it more than NK 800 actually. The gearbox is pretty bad on both bikes. And I remember that on my NK 800, we had some pretty bad upshifting, downshifting, it was clunky. Sometimes when I was trying to find neutral, it was really difficult to do. So much so that some people, they have their own, unique ways to find neutral. Some people say, oh, just add a little bit of gas once you're trying to find neutral. I was like, all right, cool, yeah. So we need to know how to do that on KTM, bro. The brake performance is pretty much the same, but this bike gives you an option of supermoto mode, which I really like. But yeah, I feel like this bike takes the edge. Simultaneously, NK 800 still features some things which this bike doesn't have, like cruise control and full adjustable suspension. On this bike, suspension is pretty stiff, and if you do not like it, there's nothing you can do. And because it's pretty stiff, you're not gonna bottom it out. If you would compare this bike to 675 NK, ooh guys, that's pretty interesting. 675 NK feels way more refined. It's smoother. Simultaneously, fuel consumption is going to be worse on 675 NK. Here it's like 5 liters per 100 kilometers, which is really good. On 675 NK, it's always 7+ liters. By the way, when I do my wheelies, I access track mode. I put the bike in a street mode in terms of throttle response. I put ABS in supermoto mode. I turn traction control off, and I'm good to go. So this was an acceleration from 0 to 100 in a street mode. And we still did some power wheelies. Yeah, but it's way more manageable in this mode. And also, if you find this mode too jerky and touchy, which is not actually, you can still find a ray mode on this bike, which is gonna be even more forgiving. You can still get this bike as your first bike. But if you would ask me, this is one of the most, if not the most stupidest ideas you can come across. I would never recommend this bike for a beginner. You would just get yourself killed, dudes. Oh yeah, in the ray mode, you see, neutral. Where did it come from? We have successfully upshifted, and yet the bike decided to go down into neutral. I don't know why. And it happens all the freaking time. Not only on this 790 Duke. It happened to me on the other 790 Duke that I was riding. So the gearbox is real bad. I don't like it. Yeah, bro. And it's pretty comfortable to ride like this. Oh, ladies. Hello, ladies. Do you like what I'm doing? I'm very skillful. Uh-huh. Alright, dudes, let's not drop the bike. Ooh, look at those beautiful motorcycles. Let's park here. Alright guys, this was my humble review of this 790 Duke. Tell me what you think about this bike in the comment section below. Personally, I believe that this is not a motorcycle for a beginner, even though we have different levels of adjustability, even though we have different power modes, but still, most likely over some time you'll just put it into, I don't know, track mode or at least sports mode, and you'll be riding super fast, and this is where the bike gets pretty dangerous, pretty hooligan, and I don't feel like it's for everybody. It's a very comfortable machine with a relatively aggressive ergonomics as for a naked bike. You can do wheelies in the first gear, you can easily do wheelies in the second gear, and probably second gear wheelies is exactly what sets this bike apart from KTM 390 Duke. If I would not be trying to show off in front of my friends and I'll be riding in the city, most likely, dude, I would just pick 390 Duke because it's a little bit more predictable, it's much lighter, it has more predictable, less body brakes, and it's a very fun bike to ride. This is super fun, but it's a little bit too much for a city as for me. Yeah guys, tell me what you think about this beautiful motorcycle. I'm gonna read all your comments. If you like the video, hit like button, subscribe to the channel as always, and I'll see you in my next videos. Bye bye everybody. Take care.